Hey guys, I'm kind of at the top of Bainskloof Pass looking down into the little town of Wellington. Can you catch a glimpse of the beauty of that which is surrounding me? What a privilege to be able to sit here and share these few thoughts with you today. We're still in the book of Colossians. We will be there probably for one more week after this one. But we're coming sort of towards the end of it now. But the last section, or the sort of 3/4 of the way through chapter 3, we have it says this: let the word of Christ dwell in you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom. Now, there are some other stuff that goes on over there, but this is a thought worth sort of contemplating for a moment, to be admonishing one another with wisdom. Now, everybody has a certain amount of their own wisdom, and there's prevailing wisdom, which is generally the wisdom of the majority. But it's not that we admonish one another. I want to talk about it's the willingness to be admonished that is the stepping stone to greatness. When we are willing to listen to what other people have to say, when we are willing to be able to acknowledge that I don't know everything, when we are willing to be able to say, well, teach me, let me learn from you, give me your opinion, that's a sign of deep maturity. And when Christians are able to do that, then that's a great milestone for them to have passed. Sadly, our track record is not so great. We would rather be able to just say to people, this is what I think, and I've got all the answers, and you must listen to me. But the characteristic of greatness is the willingness to be corrected, is the willingness to show humility in the face of what you thought was your wisdom. Now, this is what marks great Christianity. Now, he says here, you must take on and that the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Now, if you would just remember, if you will, that the word of Christ in those days was verbal. There was not very much written stuff down at this particular stage. Mark may have written a few things, and a couple other guys may have written a few the remembrances of what Jesus had said. But the word of Christ is something we now have. We have the word of God in our hands, and we're able to use that to admonish and to correct one another. I'm happy to use it to correct you, but am I happy to have this correct me? Because I'm not sure I always get it right. And so when we are willing to do that, people, that's a start of great maturity. Now, you see all the great leaders in the Bible marking this kind of territory. You see David, after he had messed up with Bathsheba, and you see how Nathan the prophet came in and said, David, I have a story to tell to you. And when David heard the story and realized that the story applied to him about his sin with Bathsheba and having her husband killed, stealing somebody else's wife, he was willing to be admonished. Almost in the very next verse, it says, and David repented before God as to what Nathan the prophet had said to him. We have Moses being admonished and encouraged by his father-in-law, who came and said, hey, Moses, maybe there's a better way of doing this whole thing. Moses, why don't you try this? And he listened to him, and he did it, and he benefited from it completely. We have Peter being admonished by Jesus gently after his denial of Christ. And Jesus asking him, Peter, do you really love me? Peter, I mean, really love me? And Peter's honest answer, even though he could not tell Jesus that he loved him as Jesus loved him, but he said, Lord, I'm trying really hard, man. I'm really trying really hard, but I'm a human. Help me in my weakness. And Jesus says to him, I'll help you. I'll meet you where you're at, Peter, and I will encourage you and I will guide you to become what one day I know you're going to be. Some people hate being admonished. No, let me take that back. Everybody hates being admonished. Nobody wants to be corrected for anything. But the key to great Christianity and the key to a great faith is willing to learn at the expense of your own wisdom and your own pride. So people, let's put our pride in our pockets. Let's learn from others. Let's be willing to be admonished by people who maybe have different viewpoints, and maybe we can learn something from them about the fundamentals of faith and Christian living. I learn more from what I see than what I hear, and people's lives around me admonish me all the time. When I see people evidencing great qualities of humanness and spirituality, and great qualities of kindness and gentleness, and all the stuff we spoke about yesterday, man, that admonishes me without even a word being spoken. I look at that and I say, man, that is awesome. That inspires me. You see, admonishment doesn't just have to be challenging us to do better. No, admonishing can be an inspirational experience if we will allow it to be. So look for people who do that for you, and let's make sure we do this thing really well. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.